Well, thus far, our experiences with this first class have been most gratifying. They spent the first 2 months here at the Academy in basic military training and physical conditioning. It's a pretty tough course, certainly very different from the life to which they were accustomed at home before they came here. Now, I'm glad to say that the great majority of the class took this training in their stride. There were a handful who would appear that their desire for a career in the Air Force was not strong enough to carry them through. They have left us, and a few had to be discharged for physical disqualifications that we failed to pick up on the entrance physical examination. Most, however, of the members of this class have a fine spirit, high intelligence, and obvious desire to excel in every task we assign to them. And I'm very confident that the great majority of this first class will graduate with flying colors. Well, to answer that question, I would say that we consider the mission of the Air Force Academy threefold. First, to motivate our cadets to a lifetime of service to their country in the Air Force. Second, to provide them with an education tailor-made to meet what we conceive to be their requirements as officers of the Air Force. And finally, to develop character. That is to say, integrity, patriotism, and leadership. Now, if we accomplish these objectives, the results for the Air Force will be a continuing, dependable supply of highly capable young officers, a group which can be relied upon to form the hard core of the Air Force in peace or in war. The simplest answer to that is to make the best possible use of their time between now and the date of the entrance examination. And that applies not only to their studies, but to their extracurricular activities. In our competitive selection processes, we lean heavily on the results of the college entrance board examination and on the high school record. And as to the high school record, we consider not only the grades that the young man made in high school, but his participation in athletics, public speaking, student government, and any other activity that tends to develop leadership. As in all 4 years at the Academy, the freshman program provides for academic instruction and for what we call airmanship training. In general, our academic curriculum covers the 3 primary areas of learning: humanities, social studies, and sciences. During these 4 years, our cadets are expected to acquire a knowledge of the world about them, an understanding of the peoples of the world, and a fundamental knowledge of the basic and engineering sciences. And to these ends, the freshman courses include mathematics, chemistry, graphics, English, history, philosophy, and geography. Well, our present faculty is composed entirely of Air Force officers. Some of these are regular officers, Others are reserve officers, but all were on active duty in the Air Force at the time they were called to this assignment at the Academy. And all of them have had former teaching experience, either at civilian colleges and universities or at West Point and Annapolis. And the great majority, of course, hold doctor's or master's degrees. We do not rule out the possibility of employing civilian instructors later on, but at the beginning, in the opening year of the Academy, we feel that it is desirable to use the officer instructors rather than civilian. We're taking applications for admission to the second class right now. As a matter of fact, the acceptance of nominations has been going on for several months. And for this second class, entering in July 1956, the deadline for nominations is January 31st, 1956. That is to say, by that date, all nominations must be in the hands of the Air Force Academy Appointments Branch in Washington. Now, each senator and representative is authorized to nominate 10 candidates, and within each of the 48 states, all candidates nominated by the representatives and senators of that state compete among themselves for the vacancies allotted to that state. The first qualification has to do with age. He must have reached his 17th birthday, and he may not have reached his 22nd birthday. That is to say, between the ages of 17 and 21. He must be of good moral character and never have been married. He must be able to pass the physical examination for flying training. And finally, he must be a citizen of the United States and a resident of the state or the district, the congressional district from which nominated. Well, of course, he should take, if he can, a preliminary physical examination. This could be given by his family doctor, or any candidate can take the examination at any Air Force base, provided he gets a letter from the congressman or senator who is to nominate him, requesting that the Air Force give this examination. And we consider it very desirable that every prospective candidate do take a preliminary examination for two reasons. The first is that if he has some minor defect, the chances are that it could be corrected before the final examination. And if he has a definitely disqualifying defect, it will relieve him of any further effort toward gaining the nomination and taking the final examination. And it will also permit the senator to nominate another boy who is physically qualified. Well, I think the very first thing he should do is be to get hold of an Air Force Academy catalog for 1955-56 and read it from cover to cover. It contains all the information you'll need as to eligibility and the admission procedures, and some sample questions on some particular of the examinations to be given. These catalogs are available all over the country, in practically every high school, in the principal's office, in nearly all of the public libraries, and at all Air Force bases and recruiting stations. And if the young man can't find one in any of those locations, if he will write to the Air Force Academy Appointments Branch in the headquarters, U.S. Air Force in Washington, they will very gladly send him a copy. It would also be desirable for a youngster planning to compete for the Academy to learn all he can about the college board entrance examinations. Those are the examinations we use in the mental side of the examination. Now, if he believes, after having studied the available information on it, that he's qualified, then the next step would be to write to his congressman or senator and ask to be nominated. He should, in doing so, state what he believes to be his qualifications, and I think in every case the senator or representative would like to know, in the boy's own language, why he wants to go to the Air Force Academy. Well, in my opinion, it will hold a very great deal if he continues throughout his career to live up to his responsibilities and his opportunities. On graduation, he will receive a degree of Bachelor of Science, a rating as aircraft navigator, and a commission as a regular officer in the United States Air Force. More important, perhaps, he will have acquired a solid background for continual development. He will be prepared to earn and to fill positions of steadily increasing responsibility in the world's most effective instrument for peace, the United States Air Force.